Alright, ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, action. Hey guys, this is episode 2. We actually did a second episode of Heaneys at the movies.
Surprisingly.
Instead of doing a countdown today, we're just going to talk about a movie that we saw while we were on winter break. And that is Ford vs. Ferrari. Before we get into that, this video is sponsored by LaCroix. It's not, but I hope they see this and maybe they think about doing that because we love them. We got way too many in the fridge.
Yes, we do.
But yeah, Andrew, let's talk first about what were your expectations going into seeing this movie for the first time?
My expectations were moderately high. I was expecting a film that maybe I may be interested in this regarding the story. I'm not much of a car fan, but I like James Mangold as a director. He directed, in my opinion, the best X-Men movie. He's also
Which was that?
Logan.
Okay, yeah, it's a dark one.
Yeah, but that's one of the reasons why I wanted to see the movie. I really like Christian Bale and Matt Damon, so I was going in expecting them to be good.
Yeah, I think, we're seeing it about a month after it had come out, and I think for me it was not only Christian Bale and Matt Damon and the rapport that they have and the track record, but just word of mouth, talking to people at work and seeing the reviews that it was getting online. Just felt like it was something that was good. And I'm always into things that are based on true stories. I think it's cool when history can be retold through cinema. So yeah, let's get like, what was your non-spoiler kind of review of it? Like overall, if someone hasn't seen it yet, what would you say?
So I loved this movie, honestly. It was really well done. The story was much more investing than I thought it would be. The sound design is incredible.
Yeah.
But I don't really have any qualms with this movie without going into spoilers. So we will add a spoiler section and a time code where to skip to if you haven't seen the movie. We will do that later, but overall, highly recommend it, and I will definitely be seeing this again. What about you, Sam?
Yeah, I think the runtime was justified. I felt like it really told the story well. I think that as you're going through it, you really become invested in the characters. They feel like real people that you really want to see succeed. And you see their drive and their passion for what they're trying to do. And I think that it also has its twists and turns that you'll see if you go out and watch it. But the actors knock it out of the park. They do a phenomenal job. Yes. And I was really pleased with the experience. And like Andrew said, you're immersed in it. When the driving scenes, high speed is happening, you can just hearing the engines and seeing the way the wind goes and the rain on the windshields and the gas change, the pit stop changes and all that stuff.
They're really well done.
Yeah, you feel like you're just in it. And I think that's something that, with modern sound effects, they can just do really well. And so, yeah, I would also recommend it. I'd say for me, out of 10, I would probably give it like a 8.4, something like that. I felt like the plot was relatively predictable, but I think overall it was executed very well with stupendous acting in some of the major roles. I think as a whole, it wasn't necessarily out of this world or spectacular, but I would definitely give it a thumbs up and a recommendation.
My out of 10 rating is probably an 8 or a 9. I'm leaning on a 9 right now. I gave it a 9 on Letterboxd. Do not be surprised if it bumps down to an 8, but overall I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I would recommend it, and I would absolutely see it again.
Alright, we warned you. Now we're going to kind of go into the actual plot of the movie and what we felt like were some specific strengths it had and what we felt like were some weaknesses or maybe things that we would change if we were directing it, which of course we're not. But I think just right off the bat, you get a good taste of what just the culture of Ford was like and what the culture of the industrial industry was like. That was redundant right there. But when you see the CEO come in and just talking to the bosses about what his expectations are for Ford.
Yeah, I really like that part. I also like the contrast it had between when you see the upper class Ferrari, them all prospering and laughing at Ford pretty much. I thought that was also pretty well done. A little cartoonish, but I still liked it.
Yeah, that part was interesting because the people at the top of Ford are just as wealthy, if not wealthier, than the top of Ferrari. Just a matter of what their experience is coming from. I feel like the exposition was a little choppy. I had a hard time kind of tracking if Matt Damon was the driver, because they start with him driving, and then Christian Bale's actors, Ken Miles is the one they're showing him drive with his son, and you see him like running his car shop, and their roles didn't really seem to formulate as like who was going to be who at first, and then they reveal later that you see that Matt Damon's character is going to be kind of the orchestrator, with Ken
Yeah.
Miles being his driver. But I think that was a part that I think early on was kind of foggy, and they could have established a little stronger. But that opening scene with Ken driving was really good.
So, one thing I really liked about the two characters played by Matt Damon and Ken Miles, played by Christian Bale, their motivations were really well done. Both their outer motivations, what they want to do, they both have the same goal. They both want to win the race and get Ford more successful. But they also both have decent character flaws, aka inner motivations, that I thought were really well done.
Yeah.
Like Matt Damon's character, his inner motivation is that he's still scarred from the accident that was shown in the opening. Basically, Ken Miles' flaw is that he's just way too cocky. And he's risking his safety and the safety of others just to win his race. I thought those things from those two characters was incredibly well done. And they're very likable too, which for a cocky character like Ken Miles, that can be difficult to pull off. But I thought they did it really well.
Yeah, because they show that he's like hang loose and he's going to go by his own convictions. And I think it led to some really funny scenes because he was simultaneously headstrong about cars because that's what his expertise is, but he was also, they show his like healthy relationship with his son and his wife kind of going back and forth through things. I think that one scene where you see the executive, the right-hand man of Ford, and he's just tearing the Ford Mustang, and Ken Miles just tearing the Ford Mustang to shreds. That really was a shining moment for Bale, as well as when we finally get to the race at Le Mans, which I felt like was really interesting from a historical standpoint. Did you really know a lot about the Le Mans race before this? Neither did I.
I knew nothing about
The idea that they go on an 8.5 mile track at a speed where they can do it in 3.5 minutes, that's fast. And they do that for 24 hours is just absurd. Now, granted, the drivers do take breaks and they have little shifts that go on. But just the amount of focus and dedication that takes, because they really branch out and kind of explain why this isn't NASCAR, in the sense that you have twists and turns, you have it on mud roads, you have it on highways, and you have both left and right turns, and it's fast paced.
So I really liked although they're not really montages, I really liked the training sections of this film leading up to the race at Le Mans. I thought they were not only investing, but they were also understandable. They were easy to follow.
Yeah.
I really liked the trial and error that led to it, led to them getting into the race and starting that race. And once you get to that race, you are already invested in one technical aspect I thought was incredibly well nailed, and I hope it gets an Oscar nominations for these, is the sound editing and mixing. The sound editing and mixing in the sound effects of the driving, the volume when you're in and out of the car.
True, they do have it different.
Really well done.
Yeah. It makes you feel like you're in there.
Yeah.
It's an immersive part of the movie experience. The race is fun too because it kind of brings back all the characters, like Mr. Ford is there, and then the first Ferrari CEO who turned them down in the opening scene is there, and everybody, you have the families watching on TV, you have the radio, you have the press. I thought it was cool how they had the press room with every different country kind of covering this race. It showed what a big deal it was. Like it was really the world stage.
Yeah, you feel a sense of urgency every time you're in that room.
Yeah.
Even though they don't show the room that much, but you feel a sense of urgency when you're in there.
Yeah, and they really create tension with the actual race cars and how they get close to each other and the different technical difficulties and how Ken Miles has a really rough start, but then he fights back through it.
Yeah.
I will say one thing I felt like was that the guy in the Ferrari car, the opponent was very cartoonish in the sense that he just had like one scowl face that he would give, and it kept showing him giving the scowl face over and over again.
Yeah,
it's like we get it. He doesn't like Ken Miles, and he's like the opponent, and he's the challenger, but. They didn't really give his character much substance, I felt like. Like, he never said anything, he never learned his
line.
No. And so, and he didn't, pay respect or anything like that. And I feel like, in terms of opposition, he didn't really offer a lot. And it turned out he wasn't really the main opposition, which is what Andrew wants to talk about.
Yeah, the primary opposition and the antagonist of the film, essentially. The right-hand man of Mr. Ford, he hates Ken Miles, he doesn't want him on the race, he doesn't like his attitude, he doesn't like his spirit.
Yeah.
I found his character to be very cartoonish, and to the point that it was hard for me to take him very seriously. And that is a very minor flaw that I have, but I did not really care for that much.
Yeah, and I almost think, from my opinion, he was meant to be unlikable by the audience, and I think he pulled that off really well.
Yeah.
I think that actor's a good one. He's done a phenomenal job in movies like We Are Marshall. I know he was the main actor in that, the coach. He did a good job in that, and so I think in that way he was believable.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of cringy just seeing how
that's
difficult.
Yeah.
And how, like, he didn't realize how Ken Miles would be so good for Ford and for the country.
So regarding the ending, I first initially thought it was rather anticlimactic, where instead of when Ken Miles, although he finishes first, he doesn't technically win the race. In retrospect, it actually works very well.
Yeah.
Especially since it's completely in line with his character. The way he reacts to it when he says, "You promised me the race, not the win." I thought that was really well handled, and I really liked that. Yeah. What do you think of the ending, Sam?
Yeah, I think obviously you wanted it to be a different result, and it really hurts to see a technicality like that get the best of him. But you're right, it came down to the fact that at the end of the day, Ken Miles is a pure racer. That's what he's really desiring to do, and he got to fulfill that, and he got to ride the car, and he got to perform to the best of his ability, and he made the choice to pull back so that the other people could come up next to him. So he kind of lived with that and was okay with it. And I think you see their bonds between Matt Damon and Christian Bale solidified again, and it really cements their role as well. And then the ultimate ending is really sad, but it's real. It's something that happens with, that industry. And seeing how it's really emotional when Matt Damon comes back and talks to Ken Miles' son, and the connection that they have with that, I think was really special. I'm glad that they added that into the film towards the end.
I agree. I completely agree on all fronts too.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that's kind of all that we have to say about this movie. Again, overall, we felt like it was poignant. We felt like it had really strong visual and sound effects. It has a good plot point. It's cemented by two phenomenal actors. Anything else you want to say?
So overall, I adored the movie. I thought it was fantastic, and I highly recommend it, and I do want to see it again, definitely. So if you like this video, and if you like the last video, and if you want to see more, we are going to be watching Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker tonight. Oh boy. Let's hope it's more like Endgame and less like Dark Phoenix.
Oh boy, yup.
So...
I just want to see Baby Yoda.
Me too.
I don't think he's in it.
Spoilers.
So either. No, but one can hope.
One can hope. So if you like this, you can click right here and subscribe.